Hey, what's up, everybody? This is David.
And I am Dylan.
And we're recording day 5 of our horror movie extravaganza, 13 Days of Halloween.
Ooh.
Just in case you're just joining us and you don't know what's up, we're watching 13 scary movies, and we're talking about those 13 scary movies in 13 videos. So, today we're talking about Insidious. You may notice, if you've been keeping up with our other analysis or discussion videos, different lighting, different sitting.
Same lighting, different daylight.
That's true. Different natural lighting.
Different natural.
So what happened was, normally we record these during the day, but we just finished Insidious, and we realized we didn't want to wait to talk about it.
Yep.
And we actually ended up kind of liking this lighting. So let us know what you think. Cool. Rate 5 stars for this lighting, or rate 0 stars.
Still can't see these very well, but
yeah, these are purple lights. I don't know if we ever pointed that out. We got these cool purple lights, but can't really tell. Anyways, again, we just watched Insidious. If you're just joining us, this is a discussion thing where we talk about the movie after we've watched it, meaning we're going to spoil the hell out of it. So make sure you've watched it too, either recently or at some point and are familiar with it, because otherwise you might not remember everything we're talking about. So this is the first time on this list we watched a movie that I haven't seen, and also the first time that both of us haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So,
quick before we start.
Okay.
What's Insidious mean?
What does Insidious mean?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Bad shit.
Bad shit? Okay.
I think so. I think it's like evil, like...
Okay. I assumed as much evil, I didn't know
I think it's like similar, like Sinister.
Okay.
Not the movie Sinister. But, the word, I think, could be wrong.
I mean, I already knew that. I just want to make sure that you knew that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Dylan, what did you think of Insidious?
So this was as we've said in the last video, we tiered it, we're kind of like...
Keep talking. I'm just going to fix the camera because it's crooked.
Where we're kind of easing our way into the horror, and then we ease our way out of the horror. So this was the one on the top list that I think I was fearing the most, because I wasn't too worried about the Omen or Mist. And Insidious was like, this looks really, really creepy. Possessed kids, no thank you. But this kind of, to me, of course not as good as The Shining, but to me is the same vein of why I like The Shining so much.
Keep talking. Did I make it more crooked?
Yeah, I think you got more crooked.
How? The legs are even. This is the scariest episode yet, because it's very crooked.
Where I was scared, but I was having fun while I was scared. Like, I was enjoying being scared.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like things were popping out at me and I was just like, But it was just like, I am too scared to go on, but I can't wait for them to go on to the next bit. Because I feel like it was really, really engaging. The general story was really, really fucking good. And I had a lot of fun being scared, I guess is the best way to put it. It was fun being scared.
I'll talk about being scared in just a minute, but I was just going to say, as far as the story goes, there was a point in the story where I realized, and I was curious, until you just said it, I was very curious to see where you fell on the spectrum, because there was a point in the story where I realized, oh, this is going here. Either people are going to watch this and they're going to be on board, or they're going to watch this and be like, this is where we're fucking going? And I was definitely on board, so okay. I'm glad you are too, because like...
Which part are you talking about?
I think the point where they bring in like the expert or whatever,
yes.
and she's like, your boy astral projects himself to another... I was man, audiences are either going to be into this, or they're going to be like, what the fuck?
The moment they brought in the two Mormon-looking guys at the thing, I was like, okay, this is getting fun. This is going to be a fun time.
Yes, absolutely. And I thought that was cool too, because... I guess I said I was going to jump back into like kind of the scare factor. So, I realized, because I haven't been sweating this list at all. I've seen the first movies we watched.
And to be fair, David does have a lot. Like, I think you have a higher tolerance of.
I don't know about that actually.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit, but because I have seen more scary movies, but at the same time,
because I don't have to seek out horror movies.
Right, but at the same time, even though I watch a lot of them. I'm not one of those people that watches them and it doesn't affect them.
Sure.
The reason I like them so much is because they have such an effect on me. Right. I get super scared at them, and that's why I like them even more.
And I used to be a person like back in high school or days like that, like back when I had friends who were also really scared of movies. I was getting myself in that spectrum of like, yeah, no thanks for horror movies. Right. But then I kind of finding myself after like getting convinced to watching them, I found like this dark thing in me. Not dark. This thing of myself being like, oh crap, like I actually really, really like this.
Yes.
Because like you said, you get a real effect. And I'm a person who's like really, really obsessive about like lore or like occult, and like the occult and mythology. There's so much backstory, so much stuff to where I become like too obsessed about it. So it's the point of like I can't watch a scary movie and forget about it because I can't stop constantly thinking about everything about it.
Right. Well, too, I think like you're talking about like it has an effect on you too. And for a long time, I wasn't into scary movies because they were shitty ones. Like
Sure.
a lot of ones in high school, like
Yeah,
they were big. I wasn't interested in.
Yeah, jumps like we've talked about before. Jump scares.
Jump scares. Well, that and like excessive gore. Like when we were in high school, all my friends wanted to do was the new Saw movies. I didn't give a fuck about the Saw movies. The first one's cool, but like everyone was like, "Oh, Saw 4's coming out. This one's gonna be crazy." I don't fucking care.
Yep.
And I saw some. I mean, it's not even like I skipped those. I did go watch them, and I watched Final Destination 3 and 4. Like, and those movies fucking suck. And so that's why for a long time I was like, I don't like horror movies. And it was only like when I was an adult and I started like watching ones that I purposefully sought out.
Right.
And I started liking them a lot more. And that's why, like, originally I skipped Insidious because I figured, it's that same paranormal activity bullshit.
Yeah.
But it, now that I'd kind of heard about it in retrospect, I wanted to check it out.
Yeah.
But what I do like about when horror movies do it right is that effect.
Yes.
Is that like it's not good, like you don't necessarily like the feeling, but the fact that a movie can make you feel something so vividly and like be so visceral, like you feel so like. Oh fuck!
See, exactly.
And, like, just the fact that a movie can make you feel that is appealing to me.
Because that's like the point. That's like suspense movies need to make you feel suspenseful. Action movies need to make you feel like you can't wait. Like you're into the action and everything. And I think like that's what's important about horror movies. You need to feel that visceral action to it. And I think so many things don't do that because you feel scared because you know you're watching a scary movie. But you're maybe not necessarily scared. It's the whole surprise factor kind of shit.
I mean, when you're told you're going to be scared. It's like going to a haunted house. Cheap, shitty haunted house.
You're going to be scared.
You know you're going to be scared. And when something jumps out at you, of course you scream because you're scared.
Exactly.
But it's not real. It's not the same thing.
But with these, it's like the story came first and the scares afterwards came naturally.
Yes.
It's like they didn't have to try and write the scariness of it. It just comes natural because they worked on the story, which is just naturally scary.
Yes. That being said, so when this movie started out, I realized towards the beginning, because again, I'd already seen all the movies on this list, so rewatching them wasn't a big deal to me. It was like, oh yeah, I've seen this one 5 times, I've seen this one 10 times. It only hit me towards the beginning of this movie that I was like, I got that big sense of dread, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what to expect, and like it really hit me.
I'm trying to think. I know there's a moment where I like verbally out loud said, "Oh fuck," and I can't remember what it was.
I didn't hear that.
Where it's just. I guess there's a couple parts at the beginning. I think the beginning when I, like the witch thing. I know. I'm sorry. Spoiler.
Yeah, we're spoiling it.
But the one part too where I knew I was really nervous in the end because I saw the kid and the witch. I was like, okay, great. And then there's kind of like a slight low whatever. But I think the back end made me be like, okay, now I'm back on the edge of my toes. It's when that little kid starts running around the place. Because kids are terrifying.
Yes.
And so once that happened, that was kind of like, great, here we go again.
I will say actually. I ended up not being that scared by this movie. I will say there were parts that were like, oh shit. And there was a couple like, I think good jump scares.
Right.
You know, again, we were talking shit on jump scares a minute ago, and we did a lot in the last episode. But again, like we said before, when they're good, they're good.
Right.
There's the scene where, and maybe this isn't anything for you, but this really got me, where they're just sitting at the table talking, and you see the thing behind the dad. Just the face. That was like, that got me.
Here's the crazy thing about that. I've seen that scene 1,000 times.
Oh, really?
I've seen gifts that scene 1,000 times.
Oh, man.
I knew it was coming the entire time.
That sucks.
Still fucking got me.
Oh, really?
Still got the shit out of me.
I had actually not seen that. And
because
so when I saw it, I was like, oh, what the fuck?
As soon as I seen the dad, as soon as I heard him talking about it, I was like, prepare yourself. But then I got cut off guard because I was him talking. It happens like, God dang it, the entire time I was trying to prepare something happened.
See, that's a good jump scare.
Yeah, it's a
you
really
even know
really
it's coming in.
Because that thing is just so nuts looking.
Yeah, it is. That being said, and this is what I was going to say, like, in terms of not being that scared, I think the first half, there was a lot of scenes that had me on the edge of my seat and had that big sense of dread. The second half of the movie is totally different. And again, this is what I'm saying, like when either you were in or you were just like out. Because the movie sort of breaks a little bit. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is it's very tense and it's very creepy and scary, and all of a sudden it gets a little wacky. Mm-hmm. You bring in these two dudes, which are like the dumbest fucking dudes ever. Immediately you see them. You don't even have to hear them speak. You see them and you know what you're in for. You're like, this is going to get weird.
The one dude's eating a Hot Pocket, right?
Yeah. It's like, you don't even need to hear them talk about their gadgets. Already just from seeing them, you're like, oh boy, here we go.
But the great thing is, too, is like you said, I wouldn't say necessarily I was scared of this movie, as in the terms of, I'm going to have a hard time going through my life. You know, like, it terrifies me. But it still was a scary movie.
Yes, absolutely. It was a very good scary movie. It's just not the one that's going to stick with me. Like, I'm not going to turn a corner and be like, man, I hope I don't see that thing.
Like, you're going to forget about the movie right away. As in, like, I'm just
Right.
I'm just going to be terrified.
Yeah, like
I'm not losing
for
sleep
example,
over
for example, when I was 13 and saw The Ring for the first time, every time I couldn't walk around my house at night.
Right.
I didn't want to leave the TV on when I went to bed. That was how scared I was.
I had that
of
for
that
It
movie.
Follows. I couldn't sleep right forever after.
Oh, really? It Follows was really scary. It actually didn't affect me that much until I went into a big crowd, and for some reason,
right,
that was when it got me. I was like, "See, what if something was after me in this crowd?"
What gets me for It Follows is it's silent and it's creepy. So it's the perfect thing of you can turn around a corner and it's there.
Yes,
like it's that perfect thing of like you turn that corner, it's there.
Absolutely. But anyways, we should stop spoiling It Follows.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, we'll just say we've talked about It Follows a couple times already.
Sure.
If it just I meant to bring this up earlier in this series, but in case anyone's wondering why we didn't pick any, Insidious is maybe the most recent horror film we're doing. Is there anything newer than Insidious on this list?
I don't think. No, I think it's yeah.
Cabin in the Woods. Right, but that's not that. Was that 2012?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason we didn't pick a lot of newer stuff is we feel like it's new enough that, because part of the discussion is like, how has this affected film, and like what place does this hold?
How is the stand of test of time?
Yes, yeah. So we tried to pick only a few newer ones. For the most part, we wanted to go through kind of some older ones.
And I think we picked Insidious because it was one people were talking about, and we both had not seen it.
Yeah.
And Cabin in the Woods was probably one of the few that I had seen and David had not.
Right. Sorry, as usual, cut off. We were saying with It Follows, we did think about putting that on the list, but it's pretty new. It just came out. We don't feel like there's a ton to discuss about it, but it's great. And also part of the thing is like, some people may not want to rewatch all these movies with us.
Right.
We don't know if everybody's had a chance to see It Follows yet, so we thought doing a whole video about it would be like, maybe you haven't had a chance to see it yet, but hey, you should. It's Halloween season. Watch It Follows.
Really
If you're like looking for a good new horror movie, check out It Follows.
Yeah, it's definitely in the fall season. It's really, really scary.
Yeah, if you're somebody who likes the first Halloween especially, you're going to love It Follows. It is that type of movie. Anyways, back to Insidious, the movie we're supposed to be talking about. I think that, like, and we were just talking about this, and I think this is going to be super obvious if you've seen Insidious, unless you haven't seen this other movie. But Insidious is Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that going into it. I had no idea about that. The comparisons are crazy. And it's really cool. Like, I liked that. Because this isn't like the shitty new Poltergeist remake. This isn't trying to be some dumb sequel. And it's also not completely copying off Poltergeist. It's its own original movie. The same way we're talking about It Follows. It Follows as sort of a new spin on a Halloween-style movie. About a killer who slowly, creepily stalks you, is waiting for you. But it's very different. The rules of It Follows are way different from the rules of Halloween. Those are very different movies, but you can watch them and see so many similarities. This is the It Follows of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
It is so much in that style, but it is very much its own movie. And I said this a minute ago to you, but to me this was like somebody really loved Poltergeist and wanted to make a scarier version of it. A darker, scarier version of it. That's not so much of a Spielberg-y, family fun film.
Right. Like it still had...
It still had fun elements, and it was still kind of
adventurous.
But it was definitely a darker spin on it.
Right.
I mean, even the ending alone is definitely a much darker ending than Poltergeist.
I mean, that scene with, like, the demon and that one thing that was pretty creepy.
Yes.
But it was like, I don't know. It seemed like it was creepy, but at the same time I was into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I like this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah. When you like, there's a point in the movie when they go through the red door, and to me it almost became like a weird Japanese film of like, and I again, this sounds dumb because I was just saying this to you, but for the audience, there's the part where like the demon's like making his little like masks and stuff, and that little music is playing, and it's like that happy music. To me, that was like a weird scene out of like a Miyazaki film. All of a sudden, and it was like so bizarre, but I was like way into it.
Yeah,
and I could totally see other audience members checking out, and being like, "What is this shit? I thought this thing was scary." It's like listening to classical music. I totally see why some people wouldn't like that.
Yeah,
but I loved it.
I loved it because I thought it was so jarring. That's what makes it scary. Is it's so jarring. It's like that music is kind of almost not scary if you listen to it on its own. Like if you listen to that music on its own without its context, it's not scary at all.
Yeah.
But with this context, it just almost makes
perverts
it really,
it a little
scary.
bit.
Yeah. It's kind of really creepy.
But another cool thing with Poltergeist, when they go into like the other dimension, the ghost dimension, if you will, they don't show it in Poltergeist. They just kind of talk you through it, like, is it Carol Ann? Tell Carol Ann, come to the light, or whatever. And they don't ever show that. And I like that Insidious was like, that was cool in Poltergeist when they did that, but let's show it. Let's show the guy going in there. And it's definitely not what I expected to see, and it was kind of like these different things. Like first there's a big dark space. And then like there's the house, and then like the space within the house. A lot of levels to it, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yep, it's like I was like we're saying like where the Miyazaki thing was there. I kind of thought the first level before almost seemed kind of like Haunted House-esque, where it's like here's a murder thing they're kind of showing. Like they don't go into details of it,
right?
But you kind of get the gist of it, and it kind of is like okay, cool. I'm seeing all these things happen because there is a lot of cool. Like you see those girls all the time. You see the little boy. They didn't really go into the little boy, but it's
right.
And then like the creepy guy, he has to fight the thing. It's like you kind of seeing like all these things you see throughout the movie, and then you kind of seeing them farther like in their own realm, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like these little like vignettes within the overarching story. But yeah, and we said this too a minute ago. But like performances were really good.
Yeah.
The directing was great.
Yeah.
James Wan, I think he actually directed the first Saw.
Oh, really?
He also directed a newer movie called The Conjuring, which is also supposed to be great.
Yeah, I've heard.
But it was newer, so we didn't want to pick it. But I did think about it, and I believe he directed the latest Fast and Furious movie. So,
oh hell yeah,
interesting,
super spooky.
Interesting, because like horror movie, Fast and Furious. So,
Fast and Furious too spooky.
Yep. What if they made a horror version of a Fast and Furious movie?
Would it be just like what is that movie?
Christine?
Christine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Christine.
Except it would be Paul Walker's ghost that haunts the car.
Too soon. That's how they get around it. That's the loophole.
Hollywood, make that movie.
Please.
I'll actually watch the Fast and Furious.
I will literally go watch a movie if you do that.
Yeah, I think James Wan. Whatever, he made the Fast and Furious movie, but like he does a really good job with the movie.
Yeah.
The visuals are great. There is some CGI. There is some visual effects, but they were good. And this is a newer movie, so it's not like this is one of those ones where like this hasn't aged well. It's been 5 years. It's not that long. But I mean, Avatar was 6 years, and Avatar looks like a fucking game. It looks like a video game. And I mean, to be fair, that's all the whole thing is that. But there's movies from 4 or 3 years ago that haven't aged well already.
Yeah.
So I think considering that this did it well, and there was a lot of practical stuff too, which was cool.
Because I feel like for the most part, the lipstick demon
seemed practical.
It seemed practical until like he's climbing on the wall. Of course, you can't do like that stuff. For the most part, it seemed like
it definitely seemed like it was a practical thing. Now maybe it wasn't, and if it wasn't, kudos, because I thought it was. But for the most part, I thought it was practical. But obviously, there's a few effects where it clearly wasn't. But yeah, other than that, most of the stuff seemed practical, and I like that this is the movie that did have the less is more approach too.
Sure.
Despite like towards the end, like when we go to the hyperspace, what do they call it? The further. When they go there, like we obviously start seeing a lot more of the ghosts, but for most of the movie we don't see much. I like that like there's the scene when she has the baby monitor and she's hearing the stuff, and she goes upstairs and there's nothing there. That kind of stuff is the scariest stuff to me.
Yeah.
It's scary to see the thing, but I've always thought it's way scarier to not see the thing.
The thing is, you get the anticipation. Then it builds the anticipation. Then you're hoping for the payoff, but then it's not there. But you're still in that room.
Yeah,
so you still have that anticipation,
and that's even more uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it would almost be less scary to just see something because then you know what it was.
Because now, even while she's still there, every time she turns the corner, every time she opens the door, you're expecting something else.
Right, and also I think because I always equate stuff to like my life. I don't think I'm going to walk into a room and see a lipstick demon or whatever.
Right.
But I could maybe think I hear somebody talking in a room and not be able to find somebody.
Right.
I've had situations where that happened.
No, definitely.
Where I thought I heard a voice and there was nothing there. That stuff hits home for me. I can be in that situation. And that's why, it's not out yet, but we did record a Silent Hill 2 thing. It'll be out soon. And Silent Hill 2 has a couple rooms where you walk in and there's just like a demonic voice talking.
Yeah.
And there's not a monster there. There's nothing there. That's the creepiest stuff to me because it's just like now I'm alone in this room and I feel like something's here, but I can't find it.
Exactly.
I'd rather just find the monster and kill it and be done.
Because like when I heard the baby, I was just not before that. You never see it. You never run into it.
Exactly.
But once I heard that, I was just like, no.
Yeah, there's something creepy about it. And even towards the beginning of this movie, when the kid is first in the attic and he hears the like, I think they must use like branches snapping or something for like the monster's claw noise.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like something like it almost sounds like bones breaking.
Yeah, it does.
And there's a part when the kid towards the very beginning when he's in the attic and he hears that and you don't see anything. The kid just sees it, but we don't. That stuff is creepy. Like just the idea that it's there.
What I think is kind of interesting too is the first thing you see is the witch looking thing, the old hag looking thing. Yeah. So a lot of times I'm thinking it's like this old hag doing something, and then you get shown into the demon. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like, where's this hag gonna come into play?
Yeah.
Except the first thing they show you is her.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. I thought the movie was paced really well. It moved along really well. I didn't feel like there were too many slow parts. Towards the end, there was a little just a quick moment. It was very quick, but there was just a quick moment where I was like, all right, I get it. We're the further. Let's wrap it up. But it wasn't for long. It wasn't a huge complaint. It was just we were in that space a little bit too long. I kind of got.
But I feel like some of it kind of had a purpose in a way too, because it needed to be like, because I mean the twist in the end you see, which at first I had to think about just for a little bit, because at first I took it as when she said they stopped taking his photo, as in like, oh, maybe he's always been that person. But then I thought about it, I was like, you have the mirror switch. In case you guys, not what we're talking about. When what's the guy's, Josh is his name, right?
Sure.
Josh is like in the farther, he tells like his son to go on, and he sees the hag in like this mirror kind of looking thing. It's looking back himself. You can kind of realize all of a sudden they switch it to him, and the big twist in the end is that Josh got taken over by her. Which is not what I thought it was going to go. I thought, since they showed the demon chase after the little kid, that it was going to be the kid who got it. And for all we know, it could still be both.
True.
Well, I mean,
maybe that demon really likes spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
I mean, because if you're a demon taking a kid, just like Josh was pretending to be Josh.
Right.
Or the witch was having pretend to be Josh, that demon would probably pretend to be that kid for a while. So.
Yeah. And I was just curious. I only looked up just briefly just to see, because they did make it into this chapter 2. Mm-hmm. And I was just curious, like, does that show what happens next? It didn't look like it did. It looked like it was a totally different family. Okay. Which I like. If you're going to do a sequel, don't fuck the first one.
Yeah,
move on.
Leave all that stuff up to, like, whatever.
Yeah. Because, I mean, this is the kind of thing that could warrant a sequel, because it wasn't about just, like, one house or one family. It was about this idea that you could leave your body and travel to this other place. Sounds like a lot of people could do that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do a sequel, it sounds like you got a lot of other options. Right. So I think it's cool that they chose to move on. Now that being said, I didn't read the whole plot. Maybe there's a point where like halfway through the movie they're like they find Josh or whatever, like
sure.
Because that's what Final Destination was it 2 did, where it's like a totally new group of teens. But then like halfway through the movie they like find one of the people from the first one, like in a mental hospital or something. I don't know. It's been a while, and I didn't really like that movie anyways. It was shitty. But sometimes they like to like throw you back in there and be like, oh, this is the person from before. Remember them?
Because, I mean, there's like, so I like to leave it in mind as, like, they both got fucked. I think the demon and the hag won. That's how I like to leave it.
I think either way, I mean, even if it's just one of them.
Either way, yeah, it doesn't matter.
It seems pretty fucked.
But in my mind, I think it's like, they doubly fucked. Like, they just sitting both of them and then just fuck them both over rather than helping.
Yeah, but I think it was really cool. Another thing that is one of those, like, weird things, and this is a little thing, but it is, again, like, when I knew the movie was, like, going, like, weird places, but I was totally in. When they bring in this, like, expert person, which, by the way, obviously, I don't know if we quite pointed out, but that's another clearly Poltergeist thing. Right. When they bring in, like, the expert of team and, like, they're doing all their stuff. Because in Poltergeist, they even bring in 3 people. It's 2 guys and 1 girl.
Yep.
And the 2 guys kind of bounce because it's like, we can't handle this. They don't actually leave in this one. But that totally, it's like the exact same setup. It's crazy how similar it is. Mm-hmm. But, sorry, we're just hearing weird noises in our house. Whatever.
So that happened last time we filmed, but it was during the daytime, so it wasn't as creepy.
Right, yeah, it's a little creepier at night. Sorry, our thing got cut off again. I was gonna say there's a part where like the woman puts on like the Psycho Mantis type mask. Shouts out Metal Gear Solid if you don't know who Psycho Mantis is. I don't think that's actually like a reference to Metal Gear, but it was cool. I liked that little touch. Anyways, Dylan, any final thoughts on Insidious?
Was much better than I was expecting. I was expecting to be really scared because it was for a scary movie, but instead I had a really fun time. I feel like it was a movie I could probably watch again if I ever felt like it. It was good. I liked it. I had a fun time.
Agreed. It was a good movie. It gets the Wet Rats recommendation.
It does.
If this was a movie that I came across on Tinder, I would swipe right.
Right. I would super like it.
I don't know if I would super like it. I would have saved that in case I accidentally stumble across The Shining. But I would definitely swipe right. And I might even
you only get once a week, don't you?
Yeah, you don't get many super likes.
What if I only watch one horror movie a week,
though? Maybe.
Okay. 9 out of 10 rats.
Why didn't we come up with that scale before? Or it could be like a percentage of how wet the rat is.
Yeah, it's
like this is like a 60% wet rat.
That seems like a little low.
Well, I wasn't actually giving. I was just giving that as an example.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't actual review because I don't actually review movies. I'm not a movie reviewer. That was just hypothetical.
Right. I mean, if I was to be a movie reviewer, I'd say 87% wet. It's not the perfect movie, I'm gonna do it realistically.
I would say 10 out of 10, perfect. Literally nothing wrong with it. Literally the best movie ever
nothing
made.
was ever wrong with it.
Like,
no movie will ever be better than this. We'll never
Yes.
ever review another movie better than this.
we're done. And join us tomorrow where we talk about The Omen and review it as well.
Yep.
We're going to be doing that.
Again.
And in case you're only joining us for this episode, you're going to miss out. So make sure you watch all of our other Halloween reviews. Maybe you don't like all the movies we're talking about, but we're doing 13, technically 14 because we're doing VHS 1 and 2. So surely there's something else on there you want to see. Make sure you check those all out. The full list of the movies we're doing is down in the description. If you want to follow us for updates, which you should follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/thewetrats.
Yeah.
And
then tune in next month when we do the 12 days of
Thanksgiving. Where we watch all of our favorite Thanksgiving movies. Dylan, favorite Thanksgiving movie, go.
Charlie Brown.
Second.
The turkey killer, serial killer. What's that movie?
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving, yeah. Thanksgiving.
I don't know if I can name a Thanksgiving movie. I mean, Charlie Brown, obviously. But I don't even know if I would have thought of that unless you'd mentioned it.
I really didn't know if there was one. I just assumed Charlie Brown covered every holiday, so it was a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, isn't it the pumpkin one? Or that's Halloween, isn't it? Maybe they don't do it Thanksgiving. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. And goodbye.
Bye.